Hello and welcome to FTB Sports. And unfortunately, the overlay says England preview, but we are doing an England post-match reaction to the game just gone against Poland. At home, it was a 2-1 win. It was a pretty typical England win, if you ask me. I'm a Spurs fan, as you can see. I'm a Spurs fan. You can't have these games. You can't play games as a Spurs and England fan and not be sitting at the edge of your seat. So yeah, 2-1 England. I'm here with Brezzy Page, obviously. Good guy, great guy. He's an Arsenal fan, but he's a great guy. Don't worry, done the check. But yeah, no, we're just here to talk about the game really, and kind of all the three games that went on really. Just a little bit of a review, see what we thought went well, the plays that stood out. But yeah, Brezzy, just go on to the England game first of all. The England game. Let's go into the game that we just watched first of all, the Poland game. What did you take from that game? Did you think it was a good performance? Did you think that we could have done anything different?
It was a very average game, if I'm honest. I thought Poland did challenge us quite a bit, but I thought with the play, the starting eleven that we had, I thought we could do a lot better than what we done. Obviously, second half, we just kind of went 1-0. I'll take that, and then obviously Poland with a sloppy kind of mistake by Stones. They went 1-1, and then pressure was on again. Had it with 3 points. Yeah, it was an alright game. I just think that if we play like that in the World Cup or the Euros, we're going to get absolutely battered. But if we come against France or Portugal,
it's one of those, isn't it? I think I was kind of looking at this Poland game as like the toughest of the three games we played, and kind of like a test to see where that team really was at. Because and again, we all due respect to these teams, but again, San Marino's and teams like that, you're not really able to gauge your team's progress. So I thought that this game would be, despite Robert Lewandowski not playing, I thought this would be a good game to kind of see where we were at properly. And to be fair, in that first half, I was kind of blown away. I'm not even going to really sugarcoat it. I was like enjoying watching England play a lot. And the way that those guys pressed and the chances they created, they seemed to kind of show their dominance on the pitch. And I kind of felt like that's the way that England need to go. But as we said, it's typical from England. It's that second half. It's kind of thinking that we're almost better than we are, and we can hold on to a 1-0 lead. And yeah, we've got a great team now, but a 1-0 lead against any team is a question. And then if they get that goal, they're gonna have the motivation. So I think that the approach could have been better. I think it could have been better, but you're right in what you're saying. It was a difficult one that we didn't need to make difficult. Just got a comment literally just in from Sam. What did we think of the starting 11? Well, if we have a look at our predictions, well, you and Sam's predictions, actually was quite off this time, wasn't it? It wasn't too close to what the starting lineup was. You guys suggested a 5 at the back. Do you think that could have made any difference? Do you think we could have maybe had more dominance or less dominance because of the extra defender? What do you think to that?
I mean, all I can say is this. Luckily enough, Lewandowski was not playing because he could have absolutely taken us apart. And we could have done 5 at the back and used the wing backs to do an overlap. But he seems to favour a 4-3-3, and it almost kind of seems like that's what he's going to use in the Euros.
Do you think he's saving that 5 at the back for the bigger teams? Do you think is that why you think that we necessarily don't see it as the main formation that we're starting with?
Yeah, I mean, if I was going to play against obviously France and Germany, I'd probably play the 5 at the back and use the wing backs to overlap, because no disrespect to Albania and San Marino. I mean, we could play any kind of formation and still have enough firepower to kind of cruise through the game. Everyone said Poland's going to be the tougher game, and that kind of proved it. First half was all England, second half was all Poland. Luckily enough, Maguire in the second half saved us, and we got the 3 points. But if you take the game was 2 halves, that in the second half into the Euros or the World Cup, we will get absolutely battered by any.
It's that complacency. It annoys me as well, because again, it's the quality that we've got on that pitch now. It's competing with the best. Again, I'll say I think France and Portugal and maybe Germany are probably the only teams that have got better squads than us. And if they are the only 3 squads that really have better squads than us, we can really be pushing for that. I think a semi-final is a minimum, and those performances they're not going to get you into a semi-final at all. Teams who aren't even as good as those three teams that I've just mentioned, like your Netherlands and even Italy's, who are obviously a quality, but they weren't as good as they were. They will still pick you off. They've got enough quality in those teams to pick you off. So I think you're really right in that. I think that mentality and that keeping that attacking style and pushing for a second and third goal, you have to show your dominance in these games, even if it is Poland and San Marino's and Albania's. But we'll look at the actual starting 11 then. It was 4-3-3, as we said. It wasn't that much different, actually. I think really and truly, the only different players to the Albania game was our fullbacks, if I'm not mistaken. I think everybody else kept their place. So like Chilwell came in and Walker came in. So yeah, I mean, who stood out to you in the team today? Do you think anybody really was the man of the match? Do you think anybody stood out and really staked their claim in the game today?
To be honest, I'm actually a big fan of Rice and Mount.
You know what, we were on the same wavelength because I was literally thinking the same two guys.
I think those two I think out of the last three games, they can quite happily say I've got a starting place because their work rate, their counter attack, the defense, the work, how they press forward, they see openings that most people don't see, and then they exploit it. And I just think those two, England, Euros, is automatically that they're in there.
You know what, particularly Rice in the Albania game stood out to me, but Mount today, particularly as Sam's just mentioned here, Mount was ridiculous. He was unbelievable. And you know what, I think we can all agree we've probably given Southgate a hard time. He got to a semi-final. It might have been easy. He's done all right. He's cultivated a good squad now. That's what I can give him credit for. He seemed to have brought a squad in that it's kind of mixed with youth. It's got all talent throughout the team. But the one thing that I can say that Southgate got spot on was sticking with Mount, and he would die for that guy. He basically was dying for that guy in the media. People were getting onto him, Grealish this, Grealish that, but he said no, Mount is good enough and should be starting. And boy, was he right. Mount is he's unreal. He's so good. He just works so hard for the team, and then he's got the quality as well. I just can't credit Mount more. So you're right. You're totally right about that. He was amazing.
The thing is that you can't Lampard said Mount, Southgate said Mount, Tuchel said Mount. If three managers, on a world class level said, obviously I know Lampard it was his first kind of big appointment, but he was Chelsea through and through, so he knows the youth academy, knows the whole setup. If he was saying Mount, that there's a player in Mount. And I just think the last three games have kind of proved that. He's played also centre mid, box to box. He's played attacking mid.
He's played on the right this season, hasn't he?
He's almost like a bit like not like a Saka, but like a bit like him, as in he's more versatile, so he can all of that sentiment. The midfield. I just think he's pretty much said, look, starting 11, I'm done.
100%. He was great. I think another player who was good as well was going forward was Sterling. He seemed to just dribble past all those Poland defenders. But you're right. I've particularly over those three games, it's just I don't know what it is, but midfield and England seems to be. It shouldn't be the main sticking point, but the defense in midfield has been a bit of a problem, and we've got great attackers, and now we've got what seems to be an amazing midfield. If we can sort out that defense, and I don't know if it's the players or if it's the structure, I can't quite decide yet. But after obviously this Stones blunder today, it's difficult. Again, can't hate the guy for it, but he's made these mistakes before. I don't know if he's going to be able to ever knock that out of his system. And when he's partnered with the likes of Maguire as a centre-back partnership, I don't know about you, but that doesn't fill me with the most trust. So that five at the back, we said it will come against the big teams, but again, you never know. It could be our main formation that we start with, just for that sort of solidity there. But
the problem is
go on.
As I say, the problem is even if you take Maguire and Stones out, who do you replace him with? Because we're all right going forward. We're all right with midfield, but defenders, we're so far in between. Yes, obviously Maguire guys are he plays for Man United, captain Man United, and he's a good player on his day. Stones plays for Man City, so you would expect those two would be, one of the two best defenders that we've got. But the problem is that yes, they have mistakes in them. But if you take them out, who do you replace them with?
Yeah, it's difficult. The only players I can really think of at the top of my head are probably Cody, Mings, and maybe Michael Keane, Ezri Konsa if he continues his form. They're not centre backs that can partner, like I said, as Stones or Maguire. I feel like Tottenham kind of have the same problem, a similar problem now. I hate to compare Tottenham to England, but there's not a centre back that's commanding, that's going to be that leader, that's going to tell the other centre back where to go, what to do. And I thought Stones was kind of going to develop that from Diaz, because it's clear to me now that Diaz is the star out of those two, and Diaz is the real, like, if you were to lose Diaz, it might not be as rosy. But again, it's hard. Like you said, the talent that comes after those guys isn't that high, and they are good centre backs. But if we're challenging for these Euros and we want to challenge for these trophies, we do perhaps need to, I don't know, potentially develop a centre back, or you never know. 5 at the back might be the way to go. But yeah, you're right. It's the centre backs. It's just you have to trust them. If you're going to win something, it's so cliche, the attack wins games, defense wins leagues, but it's true. You have to have that solidity at the back, and we've got decent goalkeepers as well. So I don't think anywhere else is a problem. Go on.
That was the thing I was actually going to say. Yeah. Who would you have in goal for the Euros? Because obviously there's been talk with Pickford and with Pope, but the problem is with Pope that in the last 3 games I've watched, and even when he plays for Burnley, his kicking is not.
It's Burnley though, isn't it? He plays for Burnley. I can't even expect him to play out the back. I don't know, For me, I think I'm Henderson. I personally said that Henderson probably would start for me, just because he might not be as good as a shot stopper as Pope, but if you're going to play the way England play, I don't know about you, but you need a keeper that can play out from the back, even if it's a little bit. You have to have him. So for me, it's Henderson.
But do you not feel like Henderson's a little bit inexperienced? As in, what I would say, like he went for Sheffield United last season for loan. Kept him up. Went to Man United. He's just literally playing FA Cups games. He's not really having that kind of starting lineup experience. Well, because you got David De Gea there. Do you not think going into the Euros is going to be a little bit kind of inexperienced?
Well, obviously, we're forgetting that Pickford is out injured at the moment. I don't know how long he actually is out for, but I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I think you're right. The inexperience and the fact that Henderson hasn't... Is this his first? I think he has played for England before, hasn't he? But he's not played that much. He's not played that much. I think I agree with you. I think Pickford will still be the number one, and Pope will have to improve that distribution if he wants to be the England number one. But again, I don't think playing at Burnley is going to really help that situation. So yeah, it's probably, me personally, I prefer Henderson of the all 3. But if we're thinking logically, I think you're right in what you're saying. I think it'd probably have to be Pickford and then Pope, just because Pickford, even his distribution is not great though, to be honest. So it's hard. It depends how they want to play. For me, it's clear to see how they want to play, and they have to play out from the back. They want to do that. So it kind of has to be the best keeper who can play out from the back. And the difference and the drop off in ability from Henderson and Pope and Henderson and Pickford for me isn't that bad. So I don't think we'd really miss out on much if we were to. Do you know what I mean? If he was to play.
Yeah, I agree. I actually, for an Arsenal fan, I really rate Henderson. I think if he gets the experience and he gets a bit more training under his belt, a bit more first team experience, I think he could be an England number one and possibly Man United number one with David De Gea does leave in the summer, possibly.
Yeah, I think Henderson, for me, recently, even Man United, you can see recently, Man United haven't really conceded as many goals when Henderson has now been a starter. He's kind of worked his way into that number one spot, given De Gea's mistakes as well. So yeah, you know what? Probably with the World, we forget as well, the World Cup is literally next year. We're not waiting 2 years for a World Cup. So if he does solidify that number one spot in Man United for the next season, he probably will be the starter, because he's got everything and he's young as well, so he can grow into that. He can solidify that spot. So yeah, nice. It's looking good. But this comment here, kind of, I just wanted to highlight it. How big do you think missing Lewandowski was to Poland? Because I'm kind of conflicted. Lewandowski is not a striker that's going to be involved in build up. He's going to get involved, but regardless of that, it's Lewandowski. The guy scored, I think he scored 42 goals this season. So I don't know. For me, it was big, but I just wanted to know, how do you think missing Lewandowski was significant? And we only did lose. I mean, we only did win 2-1. So having Lewandowski in that team could have been bad. Could have been really bad.
Oh, I agree. I think Lewandowski, if he was playing with the mishaps that we've had, I think we could looking at a very different result. I watched Lewandowski in Bundesliga, and I just think he's absolutely fantastic. And yeah, I mean, you know, him for Bayern. I mean, come on,
it's ridiculous. And the stats. I mean, he's out for 4 weeks now with this sprained knee ligament injury. Excuse me.
Yeah,
and he's on 35. I think he's on 35 goals. And Gerd Muller's unheard of, like, unbreakable record is 40. I know he's going to be back, and I put my money in that he's going to break it. I want him to break it. I love Lewandowski so much. I think Lewandowski, and this is controversial to a lot of people, but I personally place Lewandowski above Suarez in that 2010 striker category. And Suarez was incredible, but for me, Lewandowski's done it. He's done it on the chat. Well, so is Suarez. It's such a debate, but for me personally, when I look at Lewandowski, he's a third highest scorer in the Champions League. He's potentially going to break this ridiculous record. He scored 53 goals last season, and he's 31 years old, and he's been doing it all throughout his career. I think he's a second top Bundesliga scorer. He for me, he's incredible. And losing a player like that in Poland is just, it's so massive. And you can see that they've actually got decent players. I was looking at the squad, and they have Zielinski, who plays for Napoli, Bednarek, who plays for Southampton, Krakowiak came back.
Juventus.
What's that? Sorry?
Szczesny, Juventus.
Szczesny was in goal. Exactly. Szczesny, they've got a decent team. Like, they're not a team to be messed around with. So, you know what? I think Lewandowski probably could have gotten a bit sticky. The fact that he didn't make any substitutions just baffled me. It took about it took until Maguire scored for him to make the first sub. So yeah, I don't know if Southgate's going to get a chance like that again.
The thing is that I also reckon that his substitutions were a bit late. I know that we can sit here and say, obviously, but yeah, we got the goal, but you know, it was the mistake that we conceded that got the goal. If he'd done, you know, subs beforehand, we could be looking at a different result. And he needs to iron out those mistakes, because going into World Cup or Euros with France, Germany, you know, Portugal,
can't afford to make those mistakes, can you? You really can't. And the next comment I'm just going to put up here kind of explains that. Mac Truck and Stones against Mbappe. I think that would probably be my worst nightmare, genuinely. Like, I don't even know if I'd want to watch that game, thinking about what would happen if Mbappe was running against those two. But it's one of those where you have to just, we can laugh at that, and it's genuinely horrifying to think about. But we've got a good enough squad to kind of compete. You're going to have great players in a lot of international teams, but it's you have to make sure that the opposition fears you just as much as you're fearing these players. And you see Harry Kane, Sancho's, Grealish, who weren't even playing, those two, Sterling's, Rashford, who wasn't even playing, Saka, who wasn't even playing. This for me is the biggest opportunity that we've had in a long, long time to really go for it. And what you say about these little mini mistakes and these is so typical of England making these mistakes. They just need to be ironed out, and it's so on. It's so on. It really is so on. And I hope we can do something. I really do.
Do you think if we had the team that we've got now, or the squad that we've got now going into obviously Russia, do you think we would have got further than what we did with Croatia?
I think we would have. Yeah, I think personally we would have beaten Croatia, but I also think that it kind of seemed a little bit like a mentality thing that Croatia lost. It was the free kick that went in from Trippier was great, and then it was kind of like once we conceded, they were kind of a little bit worrisome and a little bit fearful. And I think that they need to overcome a big team and beat a big team significantly. And I think that will give them the confidence to kind of go forward and as a squad and really push, because we haven't really seen much of England facing elite squads with the team that they've got now. And I want to see a challenge. I want to see England, like, again, Poland was a good challenge. 2-1 it was a difficult game. Don't get me wrong. The second half was a difficult half. But when we're talking about the upper echelons of European Euros football, it's your France's, it's your Germany's, it's even your Italy's and Netherlands who haven't been very good, and Portugal's. If I can see a solid performance against one of those teams, it's anyone's game, the Euros. You win 3 games, you get out. Well, you play 3 games, you get out the group stages, and then it's single games. You really can. You're relying on the quality of your players, and we've got so much quality now. Like, it's so on for me. It's so on. And speaking about it being on, we have to make sure that the players who we're gonna put our hopes on perform. And I've put this here, standout players. When I put the standout players, it was kind of for this game, but I kind of want to open that question up and do standout players for the 3 games that have gone on, and then the standout players that you want to see in the Euros, because we have missed quite a lot of players that could probably get into the starting 11, to be honest. So just a few ideas on your standout players for me.
I have 2 main ones that I would already say on that, and I think you already know who they are. Mason Mount and Declan Rice for me.
100%. 100%. Go on, elaborate.
Yeah, I just think Mason Mount can play. He can play all over the pitch. Rice, he's more like your linchpin. He can do those passes over. He seems to favour Phillips quite a bit. I just think Phillips, I don't want to say he's inexperienced, because it's not, but I just think he needs a few more caps under his belt before I can kind of.
You really trusted him though, because he played the most minutes. I think.
The
most minutes I've ever.
And it's a good thing, because obviously, he's saying no matter what team you're playing for, if it's Leeds, Aston Villa, West Brom, Fulham, whoever you play for, you're still going to get a shout out, which is always a good thing, because obviously, with Sven and Capello, it's always, Liverpool's, United, City's, which is always a good thing. But for me, it'd be Rice and Mount. Yeah,
I think having that set midfield partnership, or even 2 of the 3 midfield, because I do think we'll play 4-3-3. Having like a set midfield it's underrated. Like, if you've got consistent midfield, it's just as good as having a consistent centre back partnership. It's so key. And you know what? This sounds so corny and cliche, but those 2 are they're best mates of 15 years. I have to say, I can't imagine that doesn't have an impact in the way they play with each other and kind of work with each other on the pitch. It has to have a role, because if you're playing with your best mate, it's kind of like telepathy if you think about it. So I think you're right. I think those 2 kind of come as a package, but also they have their individual brilliance as well. They both impact the team significantly. I think obviously you've got Harry Kane. He's gonna make his impact. I think he needs to kind of get the Tottenham mentality out his head and play more as a striker for England. I think he's got enough quality behind him in England to kind of just be a striker like he was and bag as many goals as he possibly can. He was dropping off a lot in this game. And to be fair, Colin mentions, actually, I'm just looking at these comments here, and he says he was spending far too much time out the areas. For me, Harry Kane, he's good at it, don't get me wrong, but his best quality is his finishing. He's lethal. So yeah, Harry Kane is another player. And then obviously for me, after mentioning those 3, I really, really, really believe that Jack Grealish can be the person that pushes England on. And if we want to act serious and really want to think about winning this, I think if he's fit and firing, and then, like you said, Mount, Rice, fit and firing, Kane's on fire, those 4 players alone, I'm just thinking about it now. It's ridiculous. We should be doing real stuff in this Euros. So yeah, those 4 players for me, I just think about the depth. It's the depth. It's the players that are in the 11. There's so much about England to be excited about, and I don't know if as an England fan I'm getting too excited, but really and truly we should be, because the team is that good now. The team is that good, and I hope we can go and do something, because I think we need it as well after the past year and stuff, and potentially fans being able to be in the stadium. I think that the Euros and the World Cup, I remember in 2018, I'll never forget in 2018, it brought everyone together, that World Cup. Everyone was just going out, drinking, beer gardens. It was the vibe in England and UK was great. So it was one of them. I think just getting far in the Euros, it just does so much for everyone. It's really underrated. So I hopefully we can do well.
I agree. I think if we can put consistent running and we iron out the mistakes, I think we could look at a very, very a good campaign. I don't want to say too much, because I don't want to jinx it or anything like that.
I'm not going to. I'm not. I've already learned as a Spurs fan, mate. Don't you worry about that. Don't say anything.
But I do think with Foden in the team as well, obviously,
yeah. Oof, God.
I think with the potential that we've got, it's down to us to screw it up.
Just going through a few comments here. Defender with balls would have at least tried to get in the way. Then number 13 turned his back and ducked out the way. I think the defense is not an issue, but it's probably the weakest spot in our team. Probably. We read that one. Mount, Rice, obviously Kane. Yeah, I think we can all agree. I think Mason Mount again. He's shown himself really to be stalwart in this starting lineup now. He's on the sheet. First name on the sheet for me at the moment. He was probably the best out of everyone in over the 3 games. Him and Declan Rice, 100%. Yeah. Standout Lingard, showing how a transfer can totally rejuvenate a player, guys. He has looked completely different from his Man United final months. Again, so true. Do you think I'm thinking now, Maddison is injured and Grealish is injured, but Grealish will probably get into the squad. Lingard and Maddison, is that the competition for that spot? Do you think that's what it's going to be down to? I don't know who's going to get that. I don't know.
I think Foden has it now, and I think it's down to him to lose it. What I would say with Lingard is, yes, his transfer to West Ham has completely changed his current situation. Mm-hmm. The problem that I have is that when he was playing at San Marino, and again, no offense to San Marino, but it was just shots but blocks. There was no, with the shots that he was creating, he should have at least had, at least 2 goals.
10 shots.
Yeah.
You can have a good game. 10 shots is obviously you're doing something, but if you're taking 10 shots against San Marino and not scoring, you're doing something wrong. I don't know what it is, but you're doing something wrong. Yeah,
I think if he can just change that and get a bit more clinical, then he's definitely going to shout out. But I just think at the moment we've got far better players in the position. But I do think that his transfer to West Ham definitely changed it.
I think it's going to inspire a lot of players who I think Ali will look at Lingard and think, wow, if I had gone in January, I might have been able to get a spot. If Ali had been at PSG right now, he'd probably be in the England squad. So yeah, I think Lingard's probably set precedent for a lot of players to kind of not wait. And why are you going to be at Man U if you're not playing? Kind of, it's your career. You need to take your own action, to be fair. Yeah. Poland without the big man is like Spurs without Kane. I'm not going to comment on that. I'm not even thinking about Tottenham until Saturday or Sunday we're playing. Grealish should be my captain for the future, and he should be the first name on the team sheet. Yeah, I mean, Grealish is one of those players where 100% Grealish should be on the team sheet, but I think Grealish is you've got to allow Grealish to do his thing. I think he works hard. He's a hard-working player. Don't get me wrong, he does a lot, but he's not going to press as intensely as Mason Mount and players like even Kane and Rice. So you kind of have to surround the team, or I wouldn't put it like this. I wouldn't play Sancho and Grealish in the same team. I'd have like Sterling, Mount and Kane to kind of do all the work. And then Grealish won't even really have to do that much. He can stay up and he can just basically take that right back 1v1 and do what he needs to do. Yeah. So yeah, Grealish needs to be there, but I think it is based on the players around him as well. I don't think you can just throw our best players in that team and it will work. And then a final comment just before we wrap up is these players will be favourites to win the World Cup after next if they stay fit. It's a year away. So you know what? Players is not going to get, it's not like it's 2-3 years. Players aren't going to get that much older in a year. So again, if they get into the final of that Euros, even getting into the final will give them enough confidence surely to go to Qatar and properly think. Yeah, because if you think about it, I'm trying to think of teams outside of Europe that would pose a threat. You've got your Brazils, Argentinas, and teams like that. But really and truly, Europe is like the main hotbed for like the best international teams, I would say. So yeah, I mean, why not? Why not? England for the World Cup. You heard it here first. And Grealish is underrated for his work rate. He does it all. He does, Sam. Yeah. And we are gonna finish on that because Grealish is great. And England did well today. But yeah, guys, it was good. 3 games good, but I don't know about you, Brezzy. I'm happy we can go back to club football now. I think it means a little bit more, and it's getting to the crunch time of the season, so it's proper. It's proper. But anyway, guys, make sure you like and subscribe. We're almost at 500 subscribers. We got almost at 400. We're hitting 500. We do a giveaway. So yeah, hit that like, subscribe, share, and yeah, we'll see you very, very soon.